And without further ado, you already have Professor Collins with his slides up. Thank you so much, Professor Collins. Take it away.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all for having me here today. Thank you to my panelist colleagues, Danielle, Dontario, Sal. I just really appreciate you just being so courageous today and sharing the hurt. I will be speaking from my positionality and experience as a Black man, as a man of color. And if we can start this all off by everyone just taking a really deep, huge breath. Go ahead and inhale and then exhale. And do it one more time for me, please. Go ahead and inhale and then go ahead and exhale. I never take for granted the ability to be able to breathe. I was born in Louisiana, and I was repeatedly told by my wonderful parents, they told me to avoid at all costs being the angry Black person in the room. My parents always told me, make sure you're not that Black person that's complaining. My parents always told me, don't tell everybody your business. My parents also told me, try to avoid conflict and hold your pain and hold your hurt inside. What you said earlier today, Dontario, really resonated with me because that's exactly what my parents told me. Hold that pain, hold that hurt inside. Can anyone else relate to that? Up until 2019, I wholeheartedly followed the idea of holding my pain and holding my hurt inside. Until my warrior scholar colleague, Dr. Michelle Ferrer, asked me the following quote. She asked me, how can we create spaces of audacious hope and healing if we do not address how we have been hurt and how we have been harmed? How can we create spaces of audacious hope and healing if we do not address how we have been hurt and how we have been harmed? Michelle's words spoke power into my life, not only because it came from a youth organizer, a woman of color whose roots began with her work in Oakland, Los Angeles, and now in San Diego, but because she gave me permission to release the pain, to release the hurt that I had experienced inside of higher education. My higher education journey began in community college at a time in my life where I was facing a lot of uncertainty. My parents were going through a horrible divorce, and the money was extremely tight. I was working a full-time job at an all-night diner to pay for school and to help my mom, myself, and my brother find a new place to live. I did my very best to do all my homework, show up to all 5 of my classes on time. One morning, after working a 10-hour shift from 8 p.m. at night to 6 a.m. in the morning, I ran home, I took a shower, I drove to school, and I had 45 minutes until my first class at 8 a.m. So I decided to take a quick power nap in my car. I set my alarm, but unfortunately, I overslept by 2 minutes. I ran from my car to that 8 a.m. class. I hustled. I grabbed the door handle and I pulled. The class was locked. I peeked through the window in the door and I saw that there were students inside. I knocked on the door, hoping that someone would open the door, and no one did. I saw the teacher and I caught his eye. He turned his back to me and he loudly told the class, I will not tolerate anyone coming in late. I will lock you out of the classroom. He kept his back to me and he started teaching. I stood there completely shocked, embarrassed, humiliated. I was locked out the classroom. As I surveyed the room, from that little window inside the door, I realized that I was the only Black student in the class. I was the only man of color in the entire class. And then the only other two people of color in the class were two Latinas. But other than that, everyone else in the class, including the teacher, was white. As I continued looking into the classroom from the window and the locked door, it suddenly hit me that higher education was not built for someone like me. Higher education did not care that my family life was in disrepair. Higher education did not care that I had to work a full-time job in order to pay for school and help my mom. Higher education did not care that I had just worked a 10-hour shift all night and only arrived 2 minutes late. And because of that, I was denied access. This was just one of many hurtful, harmful, and painful memories I experienced as a student. So fast forward 10 years, and I was on the other side of the classroom. I was now the teacher inside of community college. I thought maybe as a teacher, things would be different, but it wasn't. I have been denied access to faculty areas because administrators have assumed that I was not a faculty member. And no, it wasn't because of my age. It was because of my race. I know that because white colleagues that were younger than me were given access to faculty areas while I was denied. I have been accused of helping students of color too much. And I was told that, the black and brown students in my classroom aren't supposed to be earning A's because when we look at their GPAs and their grades in other courses, they're extremely low. So what am I doing to get them these A's in the class? I was accused of grade inflation. I was told by an administrator that it was my responsibility to yell and embarrass students of color so that they do not replicate the stereotypes. This is a direct quote. Replicate the stereotypes that society unfortunately places on them. I share all this with you because I want education to be a place of hope and healing. I believe by sharing our hurt, by sharing our harm that we've experienced, we can all begin to rethink, reimagine, and retool an education system not built for people like me, and perhaps not built for people like you. At the beginning of the presentation, I asked you to take a moment to just breathe. On May 25th, George Floyd said, "Please, please, please, I can't breathe," as a police officer continued to force his knee onto George's neck, ultimately murdering him on the streets of Minneapolis. George's words haunt me because in his final breath, I hear the pleading for life, the pleading for equality, the pleading that Black Lives Matter. In many ways, the knee on George's neck is a metaphor for how the system has held back people of color. In the aftermath of George's death, the protests we see around America are the voices of people expressing the never-ending hurt and harm experienced by the actions and policies of dominant society and dominant culture. The education system is complicit and deserves to be on trial for the many times educators, institutions, and policies have put a metaphorical knee to the neck of minoritized and marginalized students, faculty, and classified professionals. Every day across America, you can hear the clamoring of students and faculty, their voices saying, "Please, please, please, I can't breathe," as our education system stifles the creativity, the inherent intelligence, and the confidence of Black, brown students and faculty. Although as a Black man, I have daily uncertainty about my opportunities and safety in America, I am so thankful that our district has given me the opportunity to share my hurt, to share my harm, in hopes that we can achieve some sort of healing and peace. And today, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to just breathe.